It's Toma time! What is going on, guys? Toma Tales here with another UFC video. Now today, yes, I'm going to be talking about Islam Mackhachev again because every time I make a video talking about who my pound for pound king is, which is Merab now after beating Umar, you guys flood my comments with Islam Mackhachev is more impressive, he's been doing it longer, he has a longer fight win streak, and he is just more dominant. Now, when I see all these comments, I understand what you guys are saying. But at the same time, I can't ignore what I see when I look at Islam Makhachev's resume, the people he has fought, and the style of fighter he has fought. Because when you think about it, Islam Makhachev has not fought a fighter like Merab just had to fight in Umar. Another wrestling-heavy savage that also has good striking. It just hasn't happened in Islam's career. And for Islam to be on this big fight winning streak, it is impressive. But what I lack and why I don't respect Islam as much as you guys and why I don't have him as pound for pound number one is because he just hasn't taken on that challenge. Yes, he beat Arman in 2019 in a decision victory. But that was a different Arman, and even that being said, Arman isn't that caliber of fighter where you say that is the best wrestler in the division. That is someone you do not want to be on the ground with. He is a good, solid, all-around fighter, but that's not what I want to see. What I want to see for Islam Mackhachev to be considered pound for pound number one in my eyes is him move up in weight and take on Belal Muhammad. If Islam Mackhachev does that and actually decides to challenge himself besides fighting in a division that Khabib cleared out and has no fresh faces besides Arman or Charles Oliveira, then I will truly take back every single word I said about Islam, about how he's overrated, about how he's bad as a lightweight champion because he's boring. He doesn't have the wrestling like Khabib. He can't take down Alexander Volkanovski. He can't hold down Dustin Poirier. He has to strike for 4 rounds and get busted up. All of these things I've said, if he goes up and beats a dominant fighter like Belal Muhammad, I'll tell you guys that I'm an idiot and I will stop hating on Islam Makhachev. But when you look at Islam Makhachev's record, he just hasn't done it. The amount of fights he has had and the big win streak he is on, why has he been ducking someone that could actually give him a run for his money? Merab just became the champion and already had a harder fight than Islam had in his entire career. Islam just hasn't had a stylistically hard matchup. Yes, in my eyes, his only impressive win is against Charles Oliveira, but styles make fights. And Charles Oliveira, being a jiu-jitsu martial artist, is just a bad matchup for a suffocating, wrestling-heavy Dagestan wrestler like Islam Makhachev. So for him to beat Charles, I think it was pretty clear that he was going to do that. He was going to beat Charles Oliveira. If you look at Islam Makhachev's record, you will not see a single UFC fighter he has fought that has been a wrestling-heavy fighter such as himself. Yes, he's beaten washed-up Dustin Poirier. Yes, he lost to Volk and then beat Volk in a short notice fight. Yes, he beat Renato Moicano. Guys, we need to stop looking at the quantity of amount of wins he has had and start looking at the quality. Because it is just not up there with Merab or even Alex Pereira, who's been taking on killers, and Israel Adesanya, Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prochazka, Khalil Roundtree. These are all tougher fighters than Islam has had to fight. And when I say that Islam is fighting in a dead division, just look at the faces that are still in the division now that were in the division when Khabib was champion. You have Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Beneil Dariush. All of these fighters were trying to be champion when Khabib was in the division while they were still in the prime and couldn't do it. And now we are gaslighting Islam Makhachev because he's beaten them past their primes. I just don't see it. Do you really think Islam Makhachev beats Belal Muhammad if he goes up in weight and fights him? Because that's who you're making out Islam Makhachev to be. Pound for pound number one will go down in weight or up in weight, like Alex Pereira did. He went up in weight. I am open to Islam Makhachev changing my mind and taking on a dominant fighter and beating him, and not just fighting washed up fighters. Because if he does beat Belal Muhammad, everything I've said in the past, which is he's an overrated fighter, his wrestling is overrated, he couldn't hold down Dustin Poirier, he couldn't take down Alexander Volkanovski, all these things I've said about him being a bad and boring UFC lightweight champion, I will take it back. All he has to do is win one hard fight, something Merab has already done in a way shorter time span. Show me that you are good enough to beat a fighter that has a similar fighting style as you, and then there will be no doubt that you are the pound for pound number one. But until then, it's Merab Dvalishvili, Alex Pereira, and then John Jones.